What's up, you guys? So you want to get into FPV for 20 bucks? I'm going to show you how. Let's get to it. So I'm on my way to Spoony J's house, and he's going to help me make a video for you guys to explain really the first step in FPV. At least in my opinion. So if you're looking to get into FPV, I just say, hold on, wait a minute, and listen to what I have to say. It will save you money, it's going to save you time, it's going to save you frustration, which in turn is going to make for a more enjoyable experience when you do get in the air. Basically, the first step in FPV is really the simulator. So we're almost to Spoony J's house. See you guys in a second. Do you have a separate model there?
I do. It's my sim model setup. What is it? Project Blue Falcon GC has a great video on how to set up a QX7 for a simulator mode.
I'll link that below. Oh, this is the new one. I haven't even seen the new one.
Clearly I have not either. So this is cool. Setup.
The new liftoff.
The new liftoff. Hello and welcome.
There's radio connected. You got to calibrate. So you just grab your radio, follow the motion. It's going to say OK. Make sure all the inputs are correct. It's doing what you want.
Sticks.
It's going to have you center all the sticks. Now you're assigning your channels.
Center your stick. The throttle always throws me for a loop because you want to throw it all the way down, but it says no. Alright, assign pitch. This is going to be the same for roll and yaw. And yaw.
Finished.
Oh, good.
Make sure your aircraft is moving the correct way.
If done correctly, it should follow your stick inputs and save. Okay.
Yeah, let's do the new pilot.
Disabled for battery simulation, disabled camera noise, enable God mode. That's great because when you're trying to learn, if you don't know what the axes are and you're trying to learn them through a simulator and you don't have something like God mode enabled, which God mode, all that does is just makes your aircraft invincible. You bump into things, doesn't ding up your props, so on and so forth. And it's really frustrating when you have to keep resetting because your quad's getting messed up when you don't know what you're doing. So all of these things need to be set up to where you don't have to worry about your flight time on your battery, you don't have to worry about imitated camera noise. Get rid of or set God mode to where the quad will fly. I think
so you can crash. Set it to where you can crash.
I think the only thing that God mode doesn't prevent from happening is if you flip over. That's the only way you'll have to hit the reset key.
If you flip over, you have to reset.
And then disables on-screen display because you don't need to see any of that. Again, this is all for if you're just trying to learn the axes of FPV, of flying a quad rotor. So let's apply the new pilot settings.
You should do the same if you're a new pilot.
Liftoff Pro account. I think I have one, but we'll mess with that later.
Skip that.
You can still play online. You can get into online games. You don't have to create a pro account to access the online features. It's strictly just to keep track of it all if you want to put your name on any kind of leaderboard. Oh, I think I have, that's why. They saved some settings, that's weird. Oops. Right, so when I started this on my laptop, which is your basic like WestPsyde run-of-the-mill $200 laptop. To get it to run smoothly or as smooth as I could on that laptop, I came into the graphics settings, Check your resolution. These are all basically set up default from whatever the computer settings are. Quality settings. You can drop this down to fastest. Yeah, the computer definitely
the gameplay will
run
be
smoother.
Will be
it just
smoother.
doesn't look as sharp. It doesn't have that HD picture. So you can set that to that. I leave mine on good. Even this PC isn't the best, but it's a little bit better. Anyway.
It's a gaming tower and it's got a graphics card in it.
Yeah, and I still run it on good. Beautiful is unnecessary. Fantastic. I mean, it's... But just for curiosity, let's see. I don't even think I've run it on fantastic. But yeah, all of these other settings right here, you can get rid of all of them to lighten up the load of your graphics card. So
you have your radio configured. You have the model set up,
right?
Which you can go over to the Blue Falcon video and check that out.
Yep.
You have it plugged into the computer. You have it calibrated. And now, say you want to fly. What do you do?
To fly, let's see. Let's start with single player. That's what our options are. So based on, or just knowing from experience, what everybody is looking for usually is what's right here is free flight. Tutorial will give you some information if you need to. If you have never picked up a radio or tried any of this before, you can try the tutorial. It'll explain what access is yaw.
It wouldn't hurt, you know, to start with there, you know, if you're new.
Right. Once you get the hang of it, and you understand how to take off and hover and kind of flop around, and you get the basic idea. Free flight is the area that you want to go. Racing has your timer set, and it's assigning gates that you're supposed to be hitting.
Freestyle is also timed, correct?
Freestyle is also timed, and then it'll throw out a bunch of numbers and stuff in your face if you start doing flips and tricks and things like that, because it thinks you're trying to do a freestyle run. Workbench area, if you're brand new to this, don't even need to worry about it. You can just pick a quad from free flight. But I did find that after I have 1,700 hours logged on liftoff, after a while I started to mess with some of the settings in here, and you can get it to feel like the best way I could describe it is a super light quad. That's the best way I could feel that it anywhere close to realistic is like flying a super duper light quad, because that's the biggest downfall with simulators is the gravity.
It's not going to feel like a real quad.
It will never feel like the real thing. It will never feel like...
This is a tool to learn how to fly quads before you fly a quad. So when you do fly, it's more enjoyable. You're not walking out there to grab your crash quad every 5 minutes.
Right. So again, if you're new to using a simulator, new to FPV, you're going to want to find a big open area. -2, this is like a parking garage or something like that. So the skill level high, these are going to be your smaller areas if you're trying to learn basic controls, basic functions and movements. You're going to want to try to find something a little bit bigger. Let's try this golf course here. This also gives you the option to throw a track on the map. It doesn't require you to hit the gates. It's not going to throw up targets or a timer. It's just going to be laying out there that you can practice on with your own time. Or if you want to have that like somewhat realistic experience of flying just an open new area, you just check out the map by itself.
Look at that badass hydro dip.
I know. And then I'm going to have this big white door because I fucking lost it.
Oh.
That's the door I'm missing because my module was going to go on that side, but...
That looks good. So now this is where you pick what quad you want, alright?
Yep, so this is your quad selection. This is my fleet, I think it is. If you don't have any presets in here, it'll just give you the option for drone selection. I don't know if I can get to it now. Maybe it's in blueprints. There we go. And these are all
inactivity alarm.
Yeah, I know. We're getting there. Be patient. So these are all the preset quads that Liftoff starts you out with.
What would be a good starter one?
I think honestly, When I originally started on liftoff, I went with one.
Is that the grinder?
That is the Bot 5.
That's the bot grinder's frame right there.
Yeah. There's probably some new stuff on here. This is what I
feel
run.
like that's the
for,
one
like,
I always flew with.
Yep, I use that to practice like racing and stuff like that. When I picked my quad, I wanted it to look as close to the one that I had in real life, which was a Ishin Wizard, which was kind of like the.
You got the new Hyperlite frame.
Yep. So, the Ishin Wizard, which is a clone of the QAV frame, this is going to look something close to a QAV, to a Flowride, to a Rotor Riot. This is
the basic,
it says
X layout with
6 to 8 standoff frame, true X design. So, I like to fly Tommy's quad.
The UMA Remix.
The UMA Remix.
So you can see right there, that's what his controller's doing. It's not moving much. See how little he's moving? Now look how he's flying. Very little stick inputs. Just very tiny amount.
The biggest thing that I use, well, when I started with the simulator, the biggest thing that I was using it for was to learn throttle control. The throttle control, as you can see, the throttle moving all over the place, and the yaw. Throttle control is the single most important function of being able to fly in control, stay in control of your quad, and to fly smoothly. It'll help you learn new tricks. It'll help you get out of tight situations. It'll make it to where you can fly more places. It'll do a lot of things for you. So the biggest thing that I learned or started with was throttle control. You can do that by just cruising around and getting a feel for how the machine acts under full throttle and no throttle. And you start to develop that. You start to develop that ability to anticipate its next movements.
Those are some perfect Matty flip trees right there.
Right? And this is what I use a simulator for now.
Yeah, it's to practice
learning new shit so I don't destroy my quad in real life.
That would have been a motor.
That would have been a motor, probably an arm. And when I translate this into my real quad or real life, I know that the movements are going to be the same, but the quad's going to react very differently. It does, like I said before, it doesn't feel like the quad that you're flying on the simulator weighs anything. And so it's easy to do a lot of these like
super floaty
moves, exactly. And then when you are trying to do it with a real quad, your stuff falls a lot faster than these do. So, and that would have been
a broken GoPro,
a toasted quad. Exactly. So even flying a year or so now, I get on this all the time just to learn new moves. To, if I get an idea and I'm like, ooh, I wonder what that would look like, get on here and try it. It saves you from having to pack up and go to the park and try to learn something and smash your shit, or you get it figured out and it doesn't look the way you want it to. It doesn't replace FPV.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. But it's still FPV. There's still people that hate on it. I don't know how people can hate on a simulator.
Don't hate on the tool.
Yeah, it's a tool. Just like you said, it's a tool. And that would have been a blown up quad.
Yeah, that would have been a trash quad. And you want to start racing,
yep.
You can have the racetrack set up. So say after you've been flying and you got some acro moves down.
And you want to see what it's like to hit gates. Or
at least 10 hours of practice before really something starts to click in your brain, I think.
Well, it's repetition. It's like anything else. It's the more you do it, the repetitive muscle movements, the quicker that your body remembers it.
And how many hours do you have on liftoff?
Right. After this little video here, probably 1,720 hours on.
That's why he's as good as I am after flying half the time.
Half the time. So
it will increase your progression level by double.
Absolutely.
And it's $20.
It's
the best $20 you're gonna spend in this hobby,
tool.
for sure. So in closing, explain why you think the simulator's the best first step in FPV.
It's the cheapest way to go for the cost of a simulator and either a transmitter. If you're committed to getting into FPV, you go with a transmitter. If you just want to learn, see if you're going to like it, gamepad, Xbox controller, cheap gamepad. But I think the simulator, even a year into FPV, is still a usable tool.
I agree completely. And I just like the whole reset button. Because there's always a time where I'm like, I want to try a new trick, but I don't want to go break my stuff. Like the trippy spin. Trippy spin's perfect to try in the simulator.
God damn it. Oh, I got it.
We're gonna rip the simulator because it's fun. Peace.